Hi guys, Carcer here, back again with another few games of Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 from competitive season 4. This time we've got a trio of games against a player called Warhawk, who will be fielding various fleets across our three engagements. Starting with the Adeptus Astartes. For my fleet, I'm using a slight variation on the stealth fleets I've previously shown. So in this configuration, I've gone for almost entirely terrors. So we've got 5 terror cruisers, and then only one hammer battle cruiser for the flagship, just to give them a little bit of extra durability, make them less susceptible to crits. Otherwise, the hammer and terror, I mean, they've got, I believe, the same. They've got the same HP, armor layout, speed, but you just got like a bit less of a crit chance. I think you've maybe got slightly more crew and defense turrets as well, possibly. I might be talking shit. Now, the disadvantage of the I've taken the terrors is obviously you lose your broadside heavy cannons. So you're just left with just normal guns batteries on the side. Although you do still retain that forward-facing mega cannon, which is your primary damage dealer. But when you do get into a melee, then you certainly feel the loss of those side-mounted heavy guns, because they can do some very impressive damage. So when you get into a bit of a furball and all gets mixed up, and those side heavy guns would be coming into play, obviously that's no longer happening. However, with the terror, obviously you've got 2 launch bays per ship, which massively increases the effectiveness of your ordnance. And so, what I've been trying to do is, while remaining stealthed, whittle down my opponent's crew to either completely get rid of them using the strike craft, or to just whittle them down to a more manageable level, so that when I do get in close and start popping my close range boarding actions, then at the very least it's going to be dropping them crew steps, triggering crits, guaranteed crits, or it's going to remove the crew altogether. Generally, I'm targeting. This was a bit of a fuck up, yeah, so a bit of a misplay there. Didn't notice that fighter squadron coming in, so it's just going to swallow all my my strike craft that I just launched, which is unfortunate. Just so it's going to pop my fleet onto brace for impact to try and save them. Okay, so I think I only got maybe like 2 squadrons. But there is now another fighter squadron coming out from the enemy fleet. So I've kind of fucked up the element of surprise already, but that's okay, because to be honest, getting the bushwhack ambush on Space Marines isn't quite so important as it is with other fleets, because obviously they have that all-round 83 armor. So rear shots aren't quite so important, although it is nice to get those engines taken out with the Space Marines. So I'm just going to pop into this cloud and re-stealth. Meanwhile, I've got a group of escorts who are just creeping around the outside of the enemy fleet on the right hand side there. They're going to head up and back up that point. I've captured the 2 points nearest to my deployment zone, and I'm just going to send my left hand group of escorts up to capture the top left point. And yeah, it looks like the enemy fleet is sitting on the 5th point, which I can come back to with the group who's capturing the top right. Alternatively, I can maybe move this this bottom middle escort group over. What do you want? But I can see if I can make the engagement take place in and around this really handy cluster of gas clouds, which just means that if I do need to disengage and just do a quick boost out, I can potentially boost out into or through a cloud, and then I can re-shroud my ships.
What you want?
So I'm just going to try and spread my fleet out a little bit here, just so they're not all too clustered together and ram each other if they do go in for a boost in.
You want us over there?
I haven't seen any boarding torpedoes coming out of the enemy ships yet. I think looks like it's the maybe it's just both the Lance. Yeah, I think it's both the Lance variants that he's got. Which I think is the Mark II. So it's going to pop the stasis bubble down, launch a bunch of fighters to get some vision. Not quite sure what spotted me there. Oh right, yeah, he's sent fighters in. Right, cheeky little tractor slam. So he sent out bombers. They're obviously going to get taken out straight away. So we're just trying to skirt around. Now I fucked up my position here as well. I left my flagship sitting exposed down at the nearest point. I should have held him back and boosted him up around the back of my other ships. So what's going to happen now is he's going to take heavy boarding. And Space Marine boarding is no joke. So that's 23 stacks of 3 damage apiece. So that's quite easily going to chew through my entire crew. Which is unfortunate, but I'll be able to recrew him once all the crew are dead. So there is the mutiny, but there's no point in doing that. Nice little, oh yeah, of course. I guess that was the idea of popping the rally, so I could get my tractor cannon back up online. So that's done really good damage to the enemy strike cruiser. I kind of regret putting all those boarding stacks on the strike cruiser. I feel like I should have put it on one of the battle barges, but I didn't think it was going to die quite so quickly. I thought it might boost away and kind of kite a bit there. Let's hope. Right, so there goes the second mutiny on my flagship. I'll just wait for the crew to die, and then I'll just pop a little transfer troops onto him. Enemy is using plasma bombs. There goes a disruption bomb as well. Nice damage on a few of my cruisers there. Okay, so here we go. This is an ideal strike craft attack there, so let's put 15 boarding stacks on him, so that'll definitely, well, yeah, in fact, even if he does pop his whatever it's called, the repel borders ability, it's definitely still going to drop into the other crew. I believe I have the generator targeted. Oh, I think the generator is gone anyway. Oh, maybe a red gen. So I think this strike cruiser is going to go down pretty quickly, so we're just going to focus our boarding efforts onto the flagship now. So I'm fairly well ahead in points, and I'm holding on to 4 against 5 points, so just in case some kind of mass mutiny happens, which is obviously very possible with the orcs, I am actually down to 3 cruisers now. And I just lost the decks for 2 of them. But yeah, we're chunking this battle barge down quite nicely. There goes his engine as well. He's lost quite a few weapons. His generator's definitely gone. He's down to red crew, although he's still got 23 crew left, so boarding him is not going to be easy. think if I do get any boarding chances, they're probably better spent, obviously, on the flagship. Just try and get him down to the yellow crew step. My fighters shut down that strike craft immediately. And that's the great thing about the Orc fighter bombers, is you can send them on an enemy ship and they'll sit there chewing away, doing damage, taking out turrets, and then if the enemy decides they're going to launch bombers or strike craft, then they'll just murder them immediately. So yeah, I guess it does. It makes up for the fact that you have less strike craft than some of the other factions. Well, less ordnance in their factions. Obviously, you have separate strike craft, bombers, and fighters. Also, your bombers and fighters are amalgamated into the one. So, enemy flagships down to about half, maybe 2/3 health.
You have accumulated 75%.
Okay, so he has got 2 of my cruisers down to zero crew, but I will be able to recrew them with a combination of my remaining cruiser and my escorts. So I think I made the right call here. Rather than going for that capture point and sending my escorts down to harass the enemy flag, they can just keep chipping away at him. I mean, the DPS from Ravagers is not to be sneezed at. Although I don't... Or is it Onslaughts? Christ. Still can't remember. So, we've now got 5 escorts all in the mix. We should all be firing soon. I'm just actually going to boost one away, just in case the enemy flag does manage to kill all of these guys. Who knows, if you got a lucky round off or something, then not out with the realms of possibility. See if we can get some boarding torpedoes off on him. He'll make it. Oh, in fact, yeah, he's lost all of his point defense now. Great. Not that I have any working ordnance to use on him, aside from one one escort. Go ahead. I'll just drop another couple of boarding actions. It's not going to be enough to drop. Oh wait, 6 to 12. Yeah, it's mild. I might drop that red crew actually. Doing a bit of critical damage. But with that extra chipping fire from the escorts, I feel like he's going to be going down.
Enemy ship sighted. Time to stop them.
See if I can move over and re-stealth somewhat. So yeah, I mean, unless he can somehow kill all of my ships at this point, then he's fucked.
Here we go.
So that's GG. So that was pretty good. I have been finding, as I mentioned at the start of the video, that I've been having difficulties with the high armor factions, specifically, you know, the Astartes and Necrons, using this kind of fleet. So without the battleships, I find that it's difficult to get a decent amount of damage out quickly enough, because you want to be able to whittle down at least one of the enemy ships. So generally, you'll outnumber them, but you want to focus all your efforts onto one ship first, remove its DPS in the battle. And it can be quite difficult, especially, well, more so with the Necrons and the Space Marines. Obviously, because they can teleport away. So yeah, that went pretty well. I felt like using my boarding craft more effectively there than because normally I try and not launch any aircraft until my initial strike, but in that game I was launching craft on the way in to soften the enemy up for when I got there, which I think actually worked out better for me. So in this match we're playing Warhawk again, but this time he is going to be playing the Tau Protector fleet, which I believe are his main. He's up to something like level 50 something on these, I believe. He's been playing them for a long time.
Here we go.
So we're going to be doing a similar thing again with our escorts, just splitting them into a couple of groups of 2, which will capture the nearest points. Group of 3 will move up towards the centre there and see if they can get that, but it looks like I'm probably going to run into the bulk of the enemy fleet, so they'll probably just hang back and provide spotting. So I see a couple of fighters going out. I guess just try to do a bit of scouting. Right, so I hear boosting, but nothing's getting revealed, so he must have the emission dissipator skill, which is actually really good for Tau because it works for all your ships, not just your escorts and your light cruisers like the Imperial one. I'm not sure if the Chaos one works like that. I think the Chaos one... I'm not sure. I think the Chaos one applies to everything as well, but I might be talking shite. Oh, what I wouldn't give to have an emission dissipator skill for orcs. Holy shit, if you could have a emission dissipator in Blood Axe training, ooh. I'd be able to bring some battleships in these fleets.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Full speed.
But then the whining would start about overpowered orcs again, so. So, just boost this frigate up. It's going to put in range of the circles so you can see what I'm dealing with. I've got a feeling this is going to be a pair of balls coming for me.
Yeah. Enemy ship sighted.
And then the ships behind that must be either 2 of the small demiurgs or maybe a couple of cruisers.
You have seized a strategic
Not quite
area.
sure.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
With hindsight, what I should have been doing now is chipping down those balls. As I mentioned before, I have difficulty getting through some of the like high hit point, high armor ships, and yeah, balls are for sure one of those. I mean, they can just grind up against you. They've got higher tonnage than you, so in a ramming situation they're going to do better. They are immune to critical damage as well. So your mega cannons are significantly less effective against them. They are quite tricky to deal with. You can just bully them with battleships, but with this ship, with just cruisers and the one hammer, it's very, very tough. You're more likely to cause them to mutiny. But you can't cause them mutiny unless you get rid of the flagship. Well, you can, but I mean, it's more difficult to do so. So that is where I do focus my efforts initially, is trying to capture and remove the battleship from play. And I can see there's a demiurg bastion over there. There's a stronghold. Yeah. Right, I'll just shove the enemy flagship into the gas cloud. I've got spotting for revealing if it needs to be. And then I'm just going to do my strike craft hit onto the other cruiser. So I reckon I'll probably just be able to kill the enemy flagship through gunnery alone. So gonna lose sight of him momentarily, but pop scanner pulse. Right. Okay, so yeah, from the rear, Tau ships just, you know, they melt like nothing else. Ah, shouldn't have done that. I should have put all my boarding on that on the demiurg, I think. I fuck up here as well, so what I should have done here is to turn my flagship in and then use the tractor cannon to shove that demiurge out of the way. As it stands, he's just taken off over half the health of my flagship using that cutting beam. So when enemy cruisers did launch super missiles, but I believe they all get shot down before they get a chance to connect. Now I managed to do another strike hit on the demiurge, which okay, there goes his deck. I thought the deck would have been a bigger morale hit, to be honest. And really, there were, yeah, so with all the damage I'm now doing to the demiurge ship, there was no need to put all those boarding actions on, so I realise I need to be more disciplined and send the boarding actions on ships that I'm going to ignore initially. So if I started off by putting my boarding actions onto those balls right at the start of the match, and then just giving me a win. Spoiler alert, this is not a win. It's fairly close, but it's not a win. And look how far ahead the enemy is on points. Ah, it's because his balls went down and captured that one of those points near. See, and that's the I was paying so much attention to this fight going on here that I wasn't really managing my escort craft very well. And so a lot of them have just been sat there doing nothing while there's been points to be captured. If I could have been more on top of that, the match, then with the enemy being down to one ball, possibly could have wangled this. Would have been quite tricky though, just using escorts alone to hold the points. Sorry about all the slurping, guys. I'm just having a bit of coffee just to wake me up this beautiful Saturday morning here in sunny Scotland.
You have seized a strategic area.
Oh fuck me, it is actually sunny. Huh. Well, how about that? It's been an Indian summer, we were promised. So, enemy is down 2 balls, but I believe one of them is just about to lose all its crew. Any second now.
Okay, we'll go that speed. Fleet's ready. Best.
So I am trying to capture these points,
You got it, boss.
but even if I do, the enemy's so far ahead in points now, it wouldn't take much. Okay, and there goes the full crew of that other ball. So that's good. One ball has been given the old snip.
Pulled in is what orcs do best. Okay, we'll go that speed. We stumped the enemy ship. You got it.
So yeah, to reiterate, yeah, I should definitely have paid more attention to those balls right at the start.
Move that
just when I initially had them spotted, I should have immediately just sent out strike craft to start whittling down that crew.
The enemy is close to victory by
And then if the enemy had decided
you
to,
have seized a strategic area.
well,
The enemy
for one
is
thing, it would have
seizing one of
prevented
your
him from
strategic areas.
going down and taking that bottom point, so I wouldn't have been losing the capture points
The
ticking
enemy
over
has
on that.
seized a strategic area.
Two, it might have forced him to go into fuck. Oh god, what is that command called? The command to make your crew brace themselves, repel borders, or fucking whatever. Would have possibly forced him to go into that, which would have reduced his effectiveness quite a lot. If he had done that, then it would have pounced straight on the balls and gone and started shooting away at them. While my ships, while my fleet was still at full strength.
Way's ready.
Because I've had trouble with this fleet and this kind of fleet from other players. It's always one of those fucking balls that's left over, and it's so difficult to deal with. Like balls are they're really bad to deal with with escort craft. Like you can sometimes you can wheedle down if you've got like a demiurge, or you've got like a an actual Tau cruiser or something left over, then you can get around the back of them, you can get some rear shots, you can take them out with your if you've still got a decent amount of escorts left. But the balls,
The enemy has accumulated 75%.
in fact, they can just change direction without having to turn as well and just come straight after you. You've got a 360-degree fire arc. They're very, very difficult to deal with. But hey ho. So moving on to the third and final game. This time, again playing Warhawk, but he has gone for the Imperial Navy. Now, Orcs versus Imperial Navy used to be a pretty easy matchup, to be honest. As long as you could avoid their torpedo volleys on the way in, then you could usually just beat the living shit out of them with pretty much any fleet you want to use. So generally for me that was either a full battle, this is way back when, full battleship fleet, or a combination battleship, escort and battle cruiser fleet is what I used to use. Nowadays, with the improvements to lances and actually buffs to ordnance, the Imperial Navy is a bit of a tougher customer, especially with this fleet here where it's just all cruisers again. Although at least with the Imperial Navy you do have the luxury of firing at the more lightly armoured sides and tasty pink arseholes that those ships have with their shitty armour. And so if you get an enemy who decides they can try and run away from you, then you can just put the old mega cannons up there, and that's pretty glorious. So we've got 2 points nearby. In fact, no, that's 2 points nearby to us on the right hand side of the map, and then there's a kind of large loose triangle over on the left hand side, around the middle, and into the towards the enemy's deployment zone. So I figure he's probably going to deploy on that side of the map if he's going to go for the endpoints, but who can say? Okay, so he's gone fairly central. So the group 3 going to go up for the furthest away point on the left hand side there, and obviously these two groups are just going to go and grab the 2 nearest capture points. Okay, we're playing Imperial Navy, so we're going to put everything onto decks. May change that to generators later depending on the loadouts of the ships. I will go for generators on any ship with a Nova cannon, for example. Let's try and take that fucking thing out of the action. you do find that despite your best intentions, your ships end up getting quite clustered together. Okay, so he's got at least 2 carrier craft, one of which is the Grand Cruiser, which I forget the name of, which has got a tier 4 carrier base, so that could be kind of problematic. But the great thing about when an enemy uses their fighter craft to try and scout you is that they no longer have any fighter craft guarding their fleet, unless he held back with one. But you find that, well, when people are trying to locate your ships initially, they will launch all their fighters out to try and catch you.
You got it.
So these escorts are going to get spotted by the enemy fighter group. So let's pop them onto brace, and then they can maybe whittle that down. See if it's, yeah, it's just parked up right there. So we'll just capture this point and fire away at this fighter group. Hopefully he forgets about them and just leaves them there. Now we're going to start our whittling down of the enemy fleet. So we launched one group of fighters out first, wait a few seconds, and then there go all the strike craft. So they should land around about the same time. It is obviously the further you are away, the trickier it is to gauge exactly how much of a gap you need to leave, because you don't want to leave it so long that your fighter group gets shot down by the time your bombers arrive, but at the same time you don't want your bombers to arrive before the fighters, so it's a bit of a knife edge. Now hopefully those were the only 2 carriers that the enemy had. Looks like it. I'm not seeing any more defensive aircraft going up, and it looks as well like I timed this perfectly. For some reason enemy fleet is not on stance. Okay, call to arms, yes, that's what it's called. Thank you, Warhawk. So he's popped a call to arms. However, even with the call to arms on, that should be enough to drop him down to the next crew step, unless he recrews from the surrounding fleet, which are all clustered up together. Still not in, they're not in brace for impact or anything just now. It's kind of strange. And so I did just let my fighter group die there. I could have recalled them and got them back here, but I don't want to give away my position. Because obviously I have been changing directions every time I've launched. No, I changed directions just after I launched craft. So he thinks I'm, well, as far, yeah, the last he saw, I was heading straight up in the direction that he's travelling now. But in fact, I've taken a 90-degree turn and now moving around side of his fleet, and then that'll hopefully get me up and behind him. So yeah, so he does
You have seized a strategic area.
He does recrew the ship, which between that and call to arms is going to be enough to keep him in green crew, which is pretty annoying. So his flagship is the Grand Cruiser with the level 4 hangars.
The fight is over here.
Okay, and so the rest of his fleet, what's he got? Is that like a Oberon? Like Imperial ships, they all get same to me. Well, he did launch fighters again, so we're just going to do our little trick again. Oh, he's got fighters going back though, he might intercept. I might need to recall, I'm probably going to lose all my shit here. I don't know, I think I've left this too long. Also didn't get my get my escorts out of the way quickly enough, so they're probably going to eat it now too. I'll split them up so we can't just all mob after all of them. Yep, he did manage to get fresh fighters up in time, so that's probably going to kill most of my, if not all of my strike craft. It's a bit of a pain.
The enemy is seizing one of your
But
strategic
at least I'm not going to lead him directly to my ships. I mean, he knows vaguely where I am now, because he saw the direction that the strike craft came from.
An escort ship went bang bang, boss.
I might manage to escape with one of my escorts. He is now in lock-on mode, so he's remembered about stances.
Orcs, orcs, orcs.
But if he's in lock-on mode, then that means he's not on brace. So once I get a bit closer, I should be able to do the the boarding strike again.
What you want?
Because I think 2 of those ships have got Nova cannons, so I definitely want to get the generators killed on those.
You orders over there? Our escort went boom. You got it. Orcs is best.
You have accumulated 25%
almost.
of strategic points.
Almost.
You got it. Faster, you grots.
So frigate's been making their way up to that middle capture point, but yeah. there goes the aforementioned Nova cannon. I'm just going to move them away, keep them out of visual range, so I can possibly skirt them around the back and then take that point behind his fleet. So we're on 2 points to 2. I think I captured slightly sooner though, so I am slightly ahead in points, but only about 200. He's probably about to capture that central point. Oh, did he just looks like he just launched some fighters, eh? I just launched some more fighters.
Here we go.
So they are now making a beeline for my ships, so I think it's about time to break formation and go in. I'm not going to be able to stop these guys.
Fire bombers, begin dagger dagger. Hit a rat buzz.
Little spread out boost there. So yeah, there goes a Nova cannon and a plasma bomb, which my flagship's going to eat both of. Oh, that sucks. Yeah. Some nice boarding actions off there. And should be able to block them with the stasis bomb.
We came, we saw, we raped you.
Maybe get a slight tractor ram, a little bit, didn't do too much damage, but it's always better to try and grapple with a low tonnage ship than your tractor slam, because it just massively increases the speed at which it connects. Okay, so that's 7 and 11. Yep, so that'll be plenty to take him down to the red crew step now on that ship, so that's great. So I believe, was that a plasma? That must be a plasma bomb. So I think that's both Nova cannons should be out of action now. Not because of damage to Nova cannons, but I'm pretty sure they're tied to generate. Oh, that was a gorgeous run. It's always great when you can catch them while they're running away, nose to tail like that. I'm not sure if he's got. I don't think that ship has powered ram, unfortunately. But if you can get like an enemy ship with powered ram and then drag a ship arse first into that, fantastic. So we'll just keep up the boarding efforts. Our own short range boarding actions are back up now. So we'll just carry on stripping away the crew. Can't remember if I changed my target priorities to bridge. It should be by now. Oh, I think I bridge Dex even. I think I did set Dex initially, and then I only changed those two to generators because they have Nova cannons. Another couple of boarding on him, so that puts for 8 on him. So 8. So that'll take him down. That might. Will that be enough to clear? I don't think so. No, the battleship cleared. I've still got a couple of strikes left. Four, 8. Okay, so I'll need another 4 boarding actions on him. Well, 3 or 4 boarding actions, depending on how the crits pan out. But I think it's fairly safe to say, whatever happens, that ship is going down. So all we're left with now is 1 enemy light cruiser and the flagship, which is the Grand Cruiser. Which the weaponry on that Grand Cruiser is pretty limited, and his strike craft aren't giving much use. Since I've still got fighters left on my fleet. Since because you only got the 1 ship left, then all you can do is either fighters or oof, ouch. Yep, that mass orc morale loss though, that will fuck you every time. Again, I've been neglecting my escorts, so I've got an escort sitting there at the top doing absolutely fuck all. Although the match is more or less won, I'm pretty sure. It's still always worthwhile to capture, especially since his fucking mutinying ship is now capturing that middle point. That's fucking bullshit. I don't think that should happen. I think if the ship's fleeing, then it travelling through a capture point should not do anything. Same as, you know, it's like when it's when the ship's been left as a drifting hulk, it doesn't capture points then. I don't think it should when it's fucking off under mutiny. So, got some more strike craft coming in. Let's get taken out by point defense. So, just try to chase down the enemy flagship. He is doing a, good effort to try to capture these points. About to D2 this light cruiser completely. And so here's a good illustration of how little firepower I've got on the sides now. I mean, if that had been hammers, with that little light cruiser flying alongside them like that, they would have ripped it to shreds in seconds. But they were barely able to get through his shield and do any damage with the crappy little guns that the orc ships have. Just the guns battery. So I may need to rethink. I'm liking the extra damage I can do with these 2 bay hangers though. It's really good when you come up against Tau fleets that are really heavy on the Seeker missiles and fighters, so whether it's going to be Tau protectors with a bunch of the cruisers or this fucking Tau merchant fleet with all the cruisers. It's good to have. I mean, well, 6, so that basically gives me 11 fighters that I can send up to intercept their fighters and then start murdering Seeker missiles. Seeker missiles are a nightmare to deal with as orcs because you can't use the fine maneuvering and
you have seized a strategic area.
The high energy turns that other fleets can. And you can't even switch your boost on and off. You've just got full boost and that's it. So dodging Seeker missiles is virtually impossible with orcs. You can boost out of the way quickly make them turn and follow you, but that's all you can do. So unless you can take those things down, you're just delaying the inevitable. And if you, so you need to be able to get rid of all those Tau fighters in order to give your fighters and point defense a chance to take out the Seekers. But back to this match anyway. Oh well, no, never mind. That's match over. So I think that went pretty well. We were able to sort of methodically take down the enemy fleet, stripping crew. I kind of wish the initial boarding at the start had gone better, especially that second round that I sent in, which got intercepted. I should really have called those back sooner. Oh well, anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.